Okay, we are back. Truth News Radio is back. We are still here discussing the Schapelle Corby case. We have been going through, we've been basically working our way through some of the information. There's just so much of it. We're here with Sean Hatton, and Josh Jackson is here tonight as well
Sean,
in cyberspace.
What can people do? I said, contact this your congressman, your local representative and stuff. But what can people do that you know of that will directly help, either with financially or morally?
Look, I just think, well, one, to send letters to the government is great. But if they just do research. If they research what's happened, they can see it for themselves. It's all there on the net. There are so many. It's there in black and white. It's so plain for anyone.
You've got to be convinced. Like, there's no point having a kind of moral, a moral ambivalence point of view. Like, you've got to basically work it out. You've got to do the research. I've done the research. I'm now convinced. Okay, and I can never know 100% of anything. Like, it's not about 100%. It's like, as I said, reasonable doubt.
Well, if the Bali police were could be brought up on charges or go to a trial in Australia, with the evidence that would be presented, they would be. You just know that they would be proven guilty because there's just so much circumstantial evidence that anybody would be convicted on the evidence that you can see. It's just so blatantly obvious if anyone wants to look at it. And what I would hope that the listeners tonight, if they go away and they go and talk to someone else about it, and they explain to them what they've heard tonight, and maybe change their minds, and those people go on, and it's sort of a flow-on effect, because if they wanted, the people that believe that Schapelle is guilty, all they go on is the propaganda. They've heard it. They thought that the family are tied in with drugs, and that's it. So from then on, all they ever, if they start to lose an argument, all they go, the whole family's into drugs.
But this comes back.
The family was into drugs. Like the father, he smoked a joint he was at a party in 1972. I don't even know whether he was smoking the joint at the time, but Michael had a broken leg at the time, and he was the one that was caught. He wasn't convicted of it. He got a fine. That's his total police record. Rossley hasn't got a police record at all. Michael Jr. doesn't have a police record. Mercedes doesn't. Schapelle doesn't. When they tested Schapelle's blood and urine, and as we all know, it stays in the system for 3 months, marijuana, and she was clear. And yet people will just go, she's a druggie. And I smoke, and then you hear rumours that I smoke drugs with Schapelle and so forth. She hated drugs. She hated marijuana. She's a VB drinking girl, That's what she used to like. She liked a VB down the local Coolangatta hotel, having a game of pool with her friends. That was Schapelle's life.
Absolutely.
And, and the rumours and innuendo that just swirl around about the family being drug dealers, but the Australian government know they're not drug dealers. You don't work 40 or 50 hours every week in jobs and be drug dealers. They live. Rossi lives in a housing commission home, an ex-housing commission home at Logan Lee. She doesn't drive a fancy car. None of the family are well off.
But this is the typical, sort of outlook that people have that, housing commission, and then you hear, the next door neighbor had some, like, all of it, it doesn't matter. I mean, I know plenty of people who smoke pot. Does that mean that I smoke pot? No. I mean, it's got nothing to do with anything. It's got nothing to do with even if the father did smoke pot. Look, even if the mother did. It just doesn't matter. It has got nothing to do with nothing. And this is the sick thing about this trial by media, is everyone's got this opinion when, in actual fact, the opinion doesn't matter.
Well, look, I'm going to use that as a segue into what we're going to discuss now, because the ABC went one step further than just saying people smoked pot. That the ABC claimed in a piece, which I've got the audio up here right now, that it was much more involved than that. They claim that there was a drug smuggling kind of cartel with Mick Corby at the centre, and then they had people that they brought on saying, oh, Schapelle was involved in drugs from her early childhood. She didn't know anything else. They even say that. She wouldn't have known any different. Now, I'm going to play it. We're going to stop it. We're going to analyse it. So, Sean, if you want to stop it at any point, just let me know. I'm going to start from the beginning. This is the Lateline piece that was aired in 2008, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So here we go. This is possibly one of the most extreme pieces of propaganda, one of the most outrageous pieces of propaganda ever put forth in my experience. And I've investigated a lot of things. I've looked at 9/11. I've looked at the JFK assassinations. I've looked at the Port Arthur massacres and a lot of different things. This really tops the lot, I have to say. So here we go.
It's now been alleged there were at least 2 generations of Corbys involved in the drug trade. New evidence presented to Lateline suggests that the father, Michael Corby Sr., and his daughter, Schapelle Corby, represent 30 years in the marijuana business.
I'll just pause it right there because that initial statement is so strong, is so overwhelming. New evidence, and the music is scary.
And the music
is terrifying, and it's on ABC. It's on your trusted television. It's on the government television channel that you have to believe. Okay.
Yeah.
So you've got to take all this into account when we listen to this. So I'll continue.
What did you nod your head for? Does that mean yes? How about you, Mr. Cameraman?
But Michael Corby Sr.'s experience in the drug trade is now said to have involved more than just the occasional puff. In the late 1970s, according to a family member, Michael Corby moved to Mackay in North Queensland after a stint in the Navy. His military record indicates he had problems with discipline and left the service after going absent without leave. Alan Trembath is a retired farmhand living on the outskirts of Mackay. He is also a cousin of the late Michael Corby. He says that by 1980, Schapelle Corby's father had become well known in Mackay as the local marijuana dealer, something which caused tensions in his family.
Michael used to be in and out of trouble with dope, and over the years I can remember some hell of a big blues with his parents. He used to hang around with a biker grip on the Gold Coast. I can remember him and Auntie Pearl, or my Auntie Pearl, his mother, having arguments and fights over it, different periods of time when I was staying at their house in Eckerman.
Alan Trembath says that Michael Corby Sr. was not just a small-time dealer, but was involved in moving large amounts of marijuana throughout northern Queensland.
Can we just pause it right there?
Kooyong Hotel.
Yeah.
Sean, can you sort of say something to these sort of allegations?
When I was 18, I lived with Michael and Rossi for a while. They had they lived in a housing commission home out at Woodridge. Michael was he was working as an auto electrician. Michael loved to just play around, tinker with cars. We'd have 3 or 4 cars around the yard. He just put cars together again. That was Michael. Michael moved